Welcome. It is Verdict with Senator Ted Cruz, Ben Ferguson with you, and it's so nice to have so many of you listening on the radio all over the country right now. Thank you for joining us, and don't forget, we do this show as a podcast 3 days a week, so if you like the show as you're listening, download Verdict with Ted Cruz wherever you get your podcast so you don't miss a single episode. Senator, we've got a lot to talk about on today's show, including another one that is a big warning for America. Watch the money, and where Democrats are spending it right now is they're now trying to affect the court system altogether.
Well, that's exactly right. Major left-wing groups are putting serious money behind pushing jury nullification, trying to convince jurors not to enforce the criminal laws, essentially to allow left-wing violent protesters to get away with violent assault and not face any consequences. We're going to explain exactly what they're doing and why it matters, how it's the latest iteration of the left's effort to abolish the police and how it's fundamentally dangerous and contrary to rule of law. We're also going to talk about a fairly amazing story. Tucker Carlson flew to Israel. He was there for like 14 seconds, stepped foot on the ground, ran away screaming. He did interview Mike Huckabee. I'm sure we will see that shortly. But then he amazingly claimed that Israel detained him, and he sort of conjured up being thrown in a dungeon with leg irons. And then he sort of had a little bit of a problem because the video came out, and it's obvious that's not happening. He's happily posing for selfies, and the Israeli government came out and said he's lying, and then the American embassy came out and said he's lying. We're going to come with the receipts. It's really every day when I think Tucker Carlson can't get sadder and sadder, it gets sadder and sadder. And if you wonder what happened, was he abducted by space aliens? Well, that brings you to our third story, which is Barack Obama told the world space aliens are real. And now President Trump has said he's directing the administration to release all the evidence of space aliens. We're going to cover all of that on today's show.
Yeah, my favorite line from Trump was when he was asked about on the plane. He's like, by the way, that's classified. He's not supposed to be talking about that publicly, which was just such a great Trump line. So we'll have that for you in a moment. All right, Senator, so this is a complicated issue for many Americans, and they look over it quickly because it just seems that way. Let's explain exactly what jury nullification even means from the outset. And then I think people really understand, oh, so that's why Democrats are now pushing this so hard and the dark money's coming in from the big mega donors in the Democratic Party.
Well, look, jury nullification is the ability of a jury to disregard the instructions given to the jury by the judge, to disregard the law, and to disregard the facts, and simply to say, we are going to find the defendant not guilty. And it is...
Even if they are guilty, right? I want to be clear.
It's only jury nullification if they are guilty. If they're not guilty, then it's actually the jury finding them not guilty. Nullification is specifically when the prosecution has proven that the individual committed the criminal offense, the judge has instructed the jury, here's what the law is, here's what you must do, and the jury nonetheless says, we're not going to apply it. And what's happening here, I want to give some of the details of what these left-wing groups are doing, and then we're going to talk about why it matters. So here's one story that was published by Alpha News in Minneapolis. It is entitled, Minneapolis Anti-ICE Activist Groups Promote Jury Nullification Training Amid High-Profile Cases. And here's what the story reports. A Minneapolis-based activist network is now openly advertising, quote, jury nullification training, raising new concerns about the integrity of jury trials in the Twin Cities. Defend 612, which seeks to support, quote, resistance to the ICE occupation in Minneapolis, is promoting two virtual sessions titled The People's Pardon or Jury Nullification, scheduled in the coming weeks. One description frames the effort, quote, because when systems fail to deliver justice, the people must. Quote, jury nullification is a legal tactic that has been used to protect one another from unjust laws and political persecution. This is the description of the advertisement. We will learn about jury nullification, or the people's pardon, how it's been used, ways it can stem authoritarian overreach, and how we can use it today. In an email to supporters, Defend 612 defended the trainings as a means of protecting our local heroes through jury nullification. Jury nullification occurs when jurors vote to acquit a defendant, despite believing the law was broken, often because they oppose the law itself or how it is enforced. Last month, Alpha News reported on a Minnesota Democratic Party officials urging his followers to use jury nullification in a federal case involving an assault against an immigration officer. Nick Cruz, a former vice president of the Minnesota Young DFL and a current at-large director of Stonewall DFL, wrote in a since-deleted post on X that, quote, "No one should be going to prison for defending our city against ICE." Cruz was referring to the federal case of Claire Louise Feng, who is accused of biting off the tip of a U.S. border agent's finger during a struggle in Minneapolis. So understand this. A federal law enforcement officer has the tip of his finger bitten off by an activist, and these lunatics are saying, don't convict the person who bit off part of his finger.
By the way, you can see that picture on X. It went viral. They actually showed the baggie of the fingertip and the agent's finger. If you just want to see like how violent these attacks are, that went viral because people thought they were lying. And so then someone took the pictures like, okay, you think we're lying. Look at my finger that's missing. Here it is in a bag, and we're going to the hospital now. Just so you understand what they're up against with the left.
And this left-wing activist, he encouraged followers to spread information about jury nullification and to, quote, act neutral during the voir dire, the jury selection process, in order to get seated. I'm going to take a brief digression to say 2 weeks ago I spoke at an event honoring Justice Scalia. It was the 10th anniversary of his passing away. And I described preparing for an oral argument in a Supreme Court case where jury selection was an aspect of that case. And Justice Scalia was brilliant. He was a remarkable person, but he was also a stickler for language. And the process of selecting jurors, it's spelled V-O-I-R-D-I-R-E, and in many parts of the country that's pronounced voir dire. In Texas, it's voir dire. and actually, in preparing for the oral argument, one of the questions I prepared for is when I said voir dire, having Scalia ask, counsel, I just heard you say words. I'm sorry, I don't understand them. And my response, which I was ready to give, I would have said, Justice Scalia, I understand that in other parts of the country there may be more Frenchified pronunciations of those words, but in the great state of Texas, it is voir dire, and representing Texas, that's what I'll be using. Understand, though, the relevance of voir dire here. This leftist is saying lie during voir dire, tell the judge you'll be neutral, and then defy the law anyway. This is blatantly undermining our justice system, and in just a minute, we're going to explain what the consequences would be.
This is something that I think is a very scary moment. It is Democrats now putting big money behind the idea of advocating for juries to basically say, even if you have someone that has broken the law, if they've broken a law that you're in essence favor of, then just don't find them guilty, even though you're admitting they are guilty. And now the Democratic Party is like, let's do this. We're going to put real money behind it.
And look, understand, jury nullification has always been part of the justice system. And so there are numerous examples in history. So, for example, in 1735, John Peter Zenger was tried in New York. He was charged with seditious libel for criticizing the royal governor of New York, William Cosby, in the New York Weekly Journal. And under English law, truth was not a defense, but the jury decided to acquit anyway. That was a very early example of jury nullification. The Fugitive Slave Act of 1850, northern juries sometimes refused to convict individuals charged with assisting escaped slaves. That was another instance of jury nullification where they'd say, we're not going to participate in this unjust law. There are really tragic and bigoted examples of jury nullification. For example, the Emmett Till murder trial in 1955, the defendants were quickly acquitted despite very significant evidence, and it was an all-white male jury that nullified. And it was simply racism. They weren't gonna hold the defendant guilty for murdering Emmett Till. And by the way, in the Vietnam War, there were some juries that acquitted draft dodgers and protesters and activists. That is a check built in the system. What is different here is you've got George Soros and left-wing groups putting serious money behind promoting this on a systemic basis by trying to send leftists in to infiltrate jury pools and to undermine it and understand the purpose of this. This is really it's a form of really jury tampering because, look, Minneapolis is not a particularly huge municipality, and if they're able to push enough left-wing activists, their objective is for their protesters to be able to engage in criminal violence. Understand, this is not like draft dodgers and you disagree with the Vietnam War. This is biting someone's finger off and saying, we're going to refuse to hold you criminally accountable. And understand this will also be beating someone up, seriously injuring them. And this is part and parcel with the leftist agenda of abolishing the police. That's one way that you eliminate criminal penalties for violent conduct. Another way you do so is by electing George Soros prosecutors. Soros has put millions of dollars into electing radical prosecutors who simply refuse to charge crimes. And you know what? If someone commits an act of violence and the prosecutor won't charge them, you've effectively abolished the police because you've legalized violence. And this is another strategy designed to do the exact same thing.
Yeah, it really is. When you look at the money behind this, too, it makes a lot of sense, right? This isn't just something they want to do in Minnesota. This is something that Democrats want to do all over the country where they're being activists. And then it could expand. I actually was reading on one of the websites, and I went deep into this. We were getting ready for the show, that there was calls for this being a new way to deal with what they described as reparations. Hey, if we have somebody that's a minority, don't charge, even if they've committed a crime, we should let them go, and we can do it this way. I mean, this is, you want to talk about opening Pandora's box to radicals that believe things like this. That is what they're writing right now. They're saying, no, this is far outside of just this issue with ICE right now. This could be to right all the wrongs of the world, is how they're describing it in their own forums.
Yeah, and understand, like these Soros DAs, they include George Gascon in Los Angeles, Chesa Boudin in San Francisco, Kim Fox in Chicago, Kim Gardner in St. Louis, Rachel Rollins in Boston, Marilyn Mosby in Baltimore. And
don't forget Steve Mulroy down there in Memphis, Tennessee. I just got to give that guy a shout out because he's a radical as well.
Look, and it's a challenge because there are vulnerabilities in our justice system and in our democratic system. And George Soros, listen, you and I disagree with everything George Soros has done, but I'm going to credit him with something, which is being effective. This man is a Marxist who hates America, and he has spent billions of dollars effectively tearing this country down and the network that he funds. And much of it is done through dark money. It's done through 501c3s and C4s, and I actually have legislation that will help at least expose the billions of dollars that are going to tear down this country. But you look at electing DAs, it wasn't that long ago where a DA election was a fairly sleepy affair, where you'd have a couple of candidates and they both wanted to enforce the law. They'd both prosecute criminals. They'd lock up bad guys. Everyone agreed, if you're a murderer, you should be charged. You should be prosecuted. You should be convicted. You should go to jail.
It was a popularity contest in essence, right? Yeah. It was two of the same, but who has more friends?
Right. And it was, who looks like a tougher, like there was an old DA in Houston who had this giant handlebar mustache for years, and like who is sort of the tougher law enforcement guy. And Soros understood that for really a cheap amount, if you put a DA in most instances, a DA's decision not to prosecute, there's nothing you can do about it. A DA has almost total discretion over that. And this is another effort. And look, it's one thing if jury nullification happens in a particular case. I think of, for example, a case where, say, God forbid, a child is raped and the father beats the hell out of or even commits more serious violence against the rapist. That's the sort of case where a jury could say, damn it, I'm not. There's an old line in Texas that it's a defense to murder that the defendant needed killing. Yeah. It's one thing for it to organically happen in a case of grotesque injustice, and that's built into the system. It is another thing when you have millions of dollars promoting people going into lie, like showing up with the purpose of, I'm here to get violent left-wing protesters off, to get them off scot-free. So it is effectively not a crime in this jurisdiction anymore to beat the hell out of a cop walking down the street, to bite the tip of their finger off, or to commit even more egregious acts of violence. This is dangerous, and this is Soros and the left wing exploiting vulnerabilities in our system and doing it systematically.
Follow the money. Cash Patel, by the way, he said he uncovered Antifa funding sources. That's going to come out soon. So this fits along just really well with that. It's all about the money. All right, Senator. So it was a very interesting week. There was a big back and forth. I don't think it's an interview. I think it's a debate that had a lot of fanfare. It was Tucker Carlson going to Israel to have a sit down with the U.S. ambassador, dear friend of both of ours, Mike Huckabee. I was rooting for Mike because you knew what Tucker was going to do. But before we even got any of the interview out, and maybe it's because it didn't go well for Tucker, we'll see. But what he did do is had a great distraction claiming he was detained in Israel at the airport, and thank goodness he got safe out of the country. Turns out it was all crap and a lie.
Yeah, look, I got to say, Tucker Carlson's descent into madness has been tragic and horrific to watch. You and I have both known Tucker a long, long time. I've known him probably 25 years. And, there was a time when he would vocally defend Israel, when he had his Fox TV show during COVID and the lockdowns. His monologue every night was the single best thing on television, and it was destination TV. Well, he got fired from Fox, and he's gone into the kind of the dark hinterlands of the internet, and he's turned really twisted. He is, number one, obsessed with Israel. It seems like if you are a Jew-hating bigot, you too can be a guest on Tucker's show. He will find every person that says the Jews are responsible for terrible things. By the way, if you're a Nazi apologist, if you think Adolf Hitler was very, very cool, you too can be on Tucker's show. By the way, if you're an Islamist, if you think Hamas is not a terrorist organization, as Tucker has said, you too can be on Tucker's show. If you hate Donald Trump because his show now is attacking almost every foreign policy decision Donald Trump makes, you too can be on Tucker's show. And he has said the people he hates most in the world. Are they the jihadists who murder Americans? No, those are the people he actually praises.
Not ISIS, not Al-Qaeda, not Hamas, not Hezbollah.
Who are they? They are Christian Zionists. He said there's no one on planet Earth. By the way, if you are a Christian, and B, you believe Israel should exist. That's what it means to be a Zionist. A lot of the Jew haters, they're scared of actually admitting they're Jew haters. So instead of saying the word Jew, they say Zionist because they think that sounds so much more like Zionist means should Israel exist.
Yeah.
I got to say, I am proudly a Zionist, and I'm proudly a Christian. And if you're a Christian and you believe the nation of Israel should exist, there are 57 Muslim countries in the world. If you think the Jewish people should have one country, just one. Mind you, the modern state of Israel was formed after the Holocaust, after the Nazis murdered over 6 million Jews in committing a genocide. And the phrase never again meant something, that there would be a homeland, that at least there would be one place for Jews to flee to. If you think Jews ought to exist, well, then Tucker hates you more than anybody else on planet Earth, and he's identified two people in particular that he hates the most, and that is Mike Huckabee and me. And so he went to interview Mike Huckabee. I'm sure they're fireworks. We'll see what happened in it. And he touched down. It was the most bizarre thing. He landed in Israel. He didn't leave the airport, so I guess the interview was at the airport. There were Christians.
And it sounded like that's because he was afraid of his safety or something. Like he was trying to say, I don't feel safe in this country, and I need to be able to leave at a moment's notice, so I'll only do the interview at the airport. That is what the team seemed to be wanting to get out there. They didn't feel safe. They didn't think that Israel would be a place they would be able to be, free or welcome or whatever, so we're just going to stay in the airport. But meanwhile, the same guy, they'll go to Russia that detains Americans on a regular basis and will happily put out grocery store propaganda on their behalf and travel anywhere in Russia that they would let him go.
And by the way, interview Putin, interview the president of Iran. The president of Iran is actively trying to murder President Trump right now. And Tucker did an interview where he was practically rubbing his leg and gazing adoringly like a lovesick 16-year-old sucking soda straws with her crush at the soda fountain.
And don't forget, he buys houses in Qatar, right? Let's not forget that one.
He has literally purchased a home in Qatar. And by the way, I get asked routinely, is Tucker being paid millions of dollars from Qatar? I don't know. I have no evidence of that. I will tell you it would explain an awful lot, because if you play what Tucker said on TV for years, and he's done an about-face on everything, money would certainly explain an awful lot. I don't know why. I just know that he is attacking Israel and Jews every day. He is praising Islamists, and he is attacking capitalism. He's praised Mandami repeatedly. He's praised Maduro. I mean, it's a crazy descent. When he went to Israel, there were some Christians in Israel who said, come visit us. We'll show you that Christians are protected and prospering in Israel, that the people who are persecuting Christians are the Islamists who are persecuting Christians. He's focused on, well, Bethlehem, the Christian population is under assault. Well, that's true because the Palestinian Authority is in charge of Bethlehem, not Israel.
Yeah.
He refused to meet with
By the way, I
Christians
just got back
there.
from Israel. The number of people that are there on a pilgrimage as Christians is massive.
Of course.
The last thing, and by the way, I forgot to tell you this. I, too, Senator, and I probably should have put this out, seeing the video of Tucker Carlson Airport, I was detained as well when I left. I just can't believe you didn't come save me. I'm a little disappointed. I thought you had my back here, but I was detained in Israel because they checked my passport and they held me for a second to the side. So I just want to be clear: if Tucker Carlson was detained, I was detained as well.
Here's the statement Tucker put out: "Quote: Men who identified themselves as airport security took our passports." Hauled our executive producer into a side room and then demanded to know what we spoke to Ambassador Huckabee about. Now, I got to say, this ridiculous claim that he put out was promptly refuted, A, by the video of his interaction. He's in the airport, he's laughing, he's taking pictures and selfies with people. B, by a statement from the government of Israel saying this is totally false. And C, by the U.S. Embassy. But actually, the best refutation to this is there is a fellow online, I don't know him, but he's a comedian, and he's a comedian named Ami Kozak who does this great Tucker impression, and it's hysterical. If you're watching it on video, you really should watch it on video because his hair looks like Tucker, and he does it. If not, give a listen because this is satire. It's not real, but this is a comedian portraying Tucker being, quote, detained by Israeli airport.
Shalom.
Hi.
Okay, you pack your own bags or somebody pack for you?
I don't even know what that means, actually. I mean, I packed some things. I certainly packed a lot of things, like a lot. And I probably overpacked. I always tend to overpack. I bring everything. And I'm sure other people pack for me, too. So
Well, we have to ask to make sure, no one put a weapon or something you don't know.
Well, I'm proud of owning guns. I own lots of guns. I'm not going to apologize for that, like at all. I own guns.
You have one here?
And so I'm not going to apologize for that.
Okay, but did you pack it?
I'm not going to do it.
Okay. What do you do for work?
Oh, I'm a journalist. I'm a journalist, a commentator. I talk to people. I have conversations with people.
Journalist. Okay. Do you ever lie?
Oh, all the time. I lie every day.
באמת?
I lie every day, and I'll continue to do it. I'm sure I'll continue to do that. And I hate it. I hate that I do that, but I'm certain that I do it.
You lying right now about your intentions?
Oh yeah. And I'm very honest about that.
You're honest that you're lying. Okay. You with a major network?
No, we're independent.
Okay. And who is funding you?
I'd rather not say. It's none of your business. It's none of your business at all.
It's a secret?
Actually, I don't have to disclose that.
Okay. You traveled to the Middle East at all in the last 6 months?
I have.
Okay.
Yes.
Where you go?
But,
Which places you travel?
well,
And why do you go there? No, let's go.
I went to places. They were nice. I wanted to talk to people and see people and have conversations with people.
Okay. Any of the people you talk to have any connections to radical terrorist organizations?
I mean,
Really?
last I checked, they were all political organizations.
The what?
Any of those regimes were political organizations. Last I checked.
Okay. This funny to you? Are you Jewish?
No, I'm not Jewish. I certainly, there's nothing wrong with being Jewish. Some of my favorite people are Jewish, like some of my very absolutely favorite people are Jewish. Some of my least favorite people are Christian Zionists. I hate them. I'm appalled by them, actually, really appalled. But I'm not going to apologize for who I am. I'm a white person. I'm a Christian. I'm a man. And I'm not going to apologize for that. Period.
Okay. Couple more questions. Where are you from?
Oh, I came from Maine.
What is Maine?
Yeah, I live across from my parents' graves.
Wow. Okay, for Maine, what's the population?
Oh, I see what you did.
Why not?
And so...
So what brings you to Israel?
Well, I'm here to interview Ambassador Mike Huckabee.
You know Ambassador Mike Huckabee?
Very well, actually. I know him a lot.
From where you know him?
And I also have no idea who he is, like, at all. Like, I barely even know who that is. I don't even know who he is.
Ma?
And so I'm here to interview him.
So wait, you do know him or you don't know him? אני לא מבין. Okay, anyone give you a gift or something to take to Israel with you?
I mean, I got a house from Qatar.
Why you get that?
They're an ally. Last I checked, they're an ally. They're like one of our closest allies, actually.
Okay, we're gonna need your passport, please.
Why do you need to see my passport? Is it because I'm a Christian?
What you saying?
Did you just spit at me?
Ma?
Did you just spit at me?
We need your passport.
Oh.
Your passport, please.
Well, I'm certainly not going to give you my passport. I would never do that, like at all.
This is standard.
Hey,
I'll take you to a supervisor.
They're detaining me.
We
Stop.
just need a passport.
Get off me. This is just like the demon.
Ma?
This is just like the demon.
Hey, why? איזה משוגע.
That guy's brilliant. Like, that's just pure comedy right there, Senator.
And look, I'm not sure that's satire. I think that may be real. That might have been the actual exchange that Tucker had with the Israeli passport control.
Yeah, I actually want to have a beer with that guy. Well done. Well said. It's up on our Twitter feed. You can share it if you want to share it.
The visual's even better. If you didn't watch the visual, you need to.
For sure. Grab it on social media, and you can watch us on YouTube as well. It's up in the video there as well. All right, Senator, one other thing about Tucker real quick. We played the satire, and it's amazing. That comedian, brilliant job.
Yep.
But this just blatant and clear lie, I think this is, unfortunately, what many Americans need to see to realize just how much Tucker Carlson is spinning things and also just not being intellectually honest about Israel.
Yeah, if you haven't watched the video that was put out, like it's a little bit amazing he would lie about being detained. Did it not occur to him that the interaction would be video that he's in like a customs office? That video clearly shows he's laughing, he's taking selfies, he's happy. It's gone viral. If you haven't watched it, Google and watch it for yourself. And I just want to tell you what both the Israeli Foreign Ministry said and the United States Embassy said. Here's what the Israeli Foreign Ministry said, quote, Israeli Airports Authority, contrary to reports, Tucker Carlson and his entourage were not detained, delayed, or interrogated. Mr. Carlson and his party were politely asked a few routine questions in accordance with standard procedures applied to many travelers. The conversation took place in a separate room within the VIP lounge solely to protect their privacy and to avoid conducting such a discussion in public. No unusual incident occurred, and the Israeli Airports Authority firmly rejects any other claim. And then here, I want to read the statement from the United States Embassy about this. And here's what the Daily Mail reported on this. Quote, a spokesperson for the U.S. Embassy in Israel denied that Carlson was detained and claimed that, quote, he received the same passport control questions that countless visitors to Israel, including Ambassador Huckabee and other diplomats, receive as part of the normal entrance and exit from Israel. It is not accurate that Israel was only going to let Tucker into the country for the interview, the spokesperson added. The only engagement the embassy had with Israel about his visit was to coordinate his private plane landing as a part of facilitating a seamless visit. It was Tucker who chose to only come into the country for a few hours and depart. And Tucker received the same positive treatment of any visitors to Israel. Look, if you lie to people and make an accusation that is false, I think it's reasonable to ask, why would he be lying? And the next question is, what else is he lying about?
Yeah, I just want to know who paid for the plane. That private jet all the way to Israel? I'm just saying, that's pretty bougie. That's pretty bougie. I got a lot of questions.
Well, you know, and
I got
that's
questions
not the only
about
thing.
that, Senator, and I got questions about aliens at the same time. I just want to be clear about that.
And I was going to say, that's not the only thing I have questions about. If you miss the news, maybe there are little green men.
Yes, we're getting the good stuff now.
By the way, if you happen to be a Democrat, a liberal, I think it's amazing you've listened this deep into the podcast. That's really quite remarkable. But if you are, maybe you don't believe me when I say there might be aliens. Instead, listen to Barack Obama. Here's what Barack Obama said about aliens. Give a listen.
I haven't seen them, and they're not being kept in, what is it?
Area 51.
Area 51. There's no underground facility unless there's this enormous conspiracy and they hid it from the President of the United States.
Wow. Okay, so the press asked Donald Trump on Air Force One about what Obama just said. Give a listen to President Trump's response.
Something that got a lot of attention this week. Barack Obama said that aliens are real. Have you seen any evidence of non-human visitors to Earth?
Well, he gave classified information. He's not supposed to be doing that.
So aliens are real?
Well, I don't know if they're real or not. I can tell you he gave classified information. He's not supposed to be doing that. Well, he made a big mistake. He took it out of classified information. No, I don't have an opinion on it. I never talk about it. A lot of people do. A lot of people believe it. Do you believe it, Peter?
Well, if the president can declassify anything that he wants to, so if you want to make an announcement.
I may get him out of trouble by declassifying.
We know illegal aliens, real.
Yeah, illegal. Only illegals.
I love his response. It's like, well, he revealed classified information. So I'm just saying, like, let's just throw that out there.
And by the way, the exchange, they point out the president can declassify information. And so following that exchange, President Trump sent out the following Truth Social, quote, "Based on the tremendous interest shown, I will be directing the Secretary of War and other relevant departments and agencies to begin the process of identifying and releasing government files related to alien and extraterrestrial life, unidentified aerial phenomenon, UAP, and unidentified flying object, UFOs, and any and all other information connected to these highly complex but extremely interesting and important matters. God bless America." So let me just say, hot diggity damn, wow.
All right, so I don't want to get you in trouble with classified information, but have you ever asked this question? I just got to know.
I have. I have.
Okay, and on a scale of 1 to 10, how exciting was that review of that information?
-47.
Okay. All right. So we're not. You're telling me we're not going to fly to Vegas and put a bet out in Vegas right now on aliens? Is that what you're telling me?
So listen, I have reviewed lots of classified materials over the last 14 years in the Senate on many, many topics, and I am aware of absolutely nothing demonstrating aliens are real. Now, I haven't reviewed all the classified materials. Maybe I'm sure Barack Obama and President Trump have seen things that I have not, many things. But I will say we did have there was this briefing that was classified that was supposed to be on aliens, UFOs, and I was like, all right, I'm going to go read it.
I'm going to that one.
Yeah. So you go down to the skiff. The skiff is in the basement of the Capitol. I went in like behind the steel doors. I sat down eagerly to read it. All right, little green men. Let's see what we find out. And I can't reveal anything, but I can tell you it was the most underwhelming nothing burger. I'm like, guys, why did you tell me there's a classified briefing that I read and it has like words, somebody saw something, not sure what it is, but something somewhere.
Something somewhere.
Something.
So I've only had my life threatened, by the way, by one cabinet member, okay? It was sort of. So you know this, my mentor was John Ashcroft. Back in, this was got to be 2005, 2000, somewhere in there. We're at his farm, and we rode dirt bikes, and we were sitting having lunch. I was like, all right, I got to ask you. I was like, are there aliens? And he started dying laughing. He goes, I can't tell you, Ferguson. He's like, if I did, I'd have to kill you afterwards. I was like, oh, that's really? He's like, I'm going to keep it there. And he loved knowing that he knew and I didn't know, and he messed with us forever on that one. So but we're not going to, more of the story is we're not going to Vegas. We're not putting money on little green men. We're agreeing on that tonight, right?
Look, I've watched every Men in Black movie. I do believe them when they say Dennis Rodman was an alien. Listen, okay. Elon Musk is so damn smart, he may be an alien. It's
there's the headlines coming out of this show. Ted Cruz says Elon Musk may be an alien.
But by the way, when like Elon has toured me around SpaceX, the phrase he uses repeatedly, he looks around and goes, "This is all alien technology." It actually would explain a lot of like the innovation he's done. But
amazing.
I hope that the admin follows through on this. I'm actually excited about the president's directive. I want to know. I want to see the little green men.
It's Verdict with Senator Ted Cruz. Ben Ferguson with you. We'll see you back here soon.